In the year 1988, when Australia was deceitfully trying to put a treaty to pacify the native First People, protesting against the bicentenary celebrations, an Aboriginal character called Gateway appeared in the comic Uncanny X-Men 229. Gateway had left Wolverine baffled. Old Abo must be some kind of a teleporter. We hear the mutant superhero say, and Gateway gives no response. In fact, Gateway had no dialogues at all in that issue or in any subsequent issues of X-Men. Like most Indigenous characters created by non-Indigenous creators, the voiceless Gateway was an edgy entity in the superhero world, neither hero nor villain, a troubling part of the flora and fauna of the Marvel Universe. This is not new. This isn't uncommon either. Beneath the surface of Western pop culture, there is always fascination and terror surrounding the suppressed power of the native. And Minnal Murali, the new Malayalam superhero film, unleashes that indigenous power on screen like hardly before, freeing itself from the constraints of occupation and colonial control subtly along its runtime. It's an extremely enjoyable flick at the surface, but the detailing of Basil Joseph's new film is to be savoured as it genuinely contributes to the rise and overall politics of the native superhero. So here, we are to discuss all that and more. Before we move on, here's once again requesting you for your support through likes, shares and subscriptions to keep on bringing more content like this. Well, let's begin. Before analysing Minnal Murali and its politics, let's try to first understand why it is important for a superhero film to uphold representation. That has been clearly missing until very recently. You see, irrespective of what Martin Scorsese thinks about superhero genre, there is no denying to their popularity and thereby their influence. And like anything popular and influential, stereotypes and discrimination in the superhero movies is no news. While superhero movies have evolved in quality and themes, something that has remained stagnant almost always is the Caucasian male leading the stories, while the women and minorities like Black Widow, Roddy or Nick Fury always standing by side. Can you believe that Wonder Woman was a character created by William Marston during the Second World War, have always featured among DC's top 10 best-selling comic series, but was the last of the major characters getting a film of her own in the DC universe. The woman and the natives have always been interesting in the superhero universe, but never lead the show until very recently. On the contrary, we have seen white actors playing characters written for different ethnicity, eating up even what little was there in the comic books. The politics is clear. Deep inside, they evolved from the idea that when it's about leading, when it's about saving the world, it's the white male that we need to look up to. The white male, enabled by corporate gadgets, riding the fancy automobiles, speaking fluent English, and always representing the American dream. Now that needs to change so that the third world, the non-whites, the blacks or the brown kids and youth can see themselves leading from the front in more articulate portrayals, thus creating an urge for inclusion in the superhero genre which has the widest possible reach to catch up. Something like Marvel's Black Panther did for the African American community, putting across a strong and capable superhero who looks like them with the realization that they too can embody those qualities and more. Minnal Murali brings that change, and how? Certain things are pretty apparent, like Jason's wardrobe for instance. His collection of Abibas, Puma or low-cost t-shirts are there for a reason, instantly identifying with the multitude of people in the third world countries who might be fashioned in such low-cost replicas. But that doesn't take away the immense superpowers they still might be having. The clothes from the local tailor shop the Jason runs and Shibu wears doesn't deter them from being the chosen ones. The Pepsi labeled sunglass being crushed by the local mass during a fight scene might be the extension of the same politics in the film. The arc of Tovino's character, wanting to immigrate to America, worried about how he would fit in, and then eventually staying back at his roots, upholds the same statement. Life and dreams might not be confined to America only. The local superhero is seen standing on the village clock tower, far less in height than the skyscrapers that his American peers are seen to be standing on, but when it comes to the vision, it's the same. It is also in creating its distinct universe where Minnal scores over most of the other Indian superheroes, having the homegrown flavor but an universal appeal, the success secret of any ethnic recipe. Minnal rides on boats, cycles, autos and local buses. No super automobiles. Even those local commutes have names of their own. The boat named Saint or the bus named Savior seems to be his vessels for the coming future. It's the gamcha as a mask and mundu for a suit that we watch him across the film until the fancy costume comes out much later during the climax. The other suit we have Minnal wearing in the pre-interval sequence is straight out of our mythology. It is the Jatayu costume that he gets inside, stealing from the Ramayana play that was going on. The demigod who tried to protect Sita when being abducted and who, as per local belief, fell on the rocks in Chadayamangalam in Kollam district of Kerala after his wings were clipped off by Ravana. It's as if the phoenix rising from the ashes sipped in local mythology. The local flavor is also delivered through the crowd. Our living, the highs and the lows, always witnessed by the gathering crowds under their constant evaluation and comments. This comes across so beautifully in both Jason and Shibu's stories. The baggage of the past that determines their courses, the loving heart that strikes both of them down before the lightning hits, uplifts the groundedness of the story to its local roots. It's also in its indigenous agency to strike at the heart of the Western myths of progress. Unlike the Western superheroes, traditionally representing pinnacles of progress, mutations on the cusp of the next stage in evolution, Minnal Murali turns the model of progress upside down, advocating that the key to knowledge and power lies in nature and our past rather than in some glorious transhumanist tomorrow. Jason's kid nephew mentions lightning to be the source of all life on earth, and the father figures become so important in the movie. The first frame with a large cutout of Jason's father as the saint of Palikunu, in another local culture reference, note that it's again the combustible stored by his father that takes Shibu to a point of no return, while the fire that burned Jason's father continues to inspire him. Although it might not be that apparent, but Satyajit Ray's Gopigain Baghabain, based on his grandfather Upendra Kishore's writing, is the closest representation of local superheroes in our cinema. Gopi and Bagha had superpowers to fetch food from the air, dress however they wanted, visit wherever they wished clapping hands when wearing the magic shoes, and play music that would stun everybody around, literally. Our organic instincts of food, music and travel lust were represented as our superpowers by Ray, the master, while his films created a similar universe rooted in remote Bengal as we see in the authentic setting of Minnal Murali. Unlike mainstream parallels who are generally ordinary citizens strapping on an alter ego to transform into their superheroes, for the indigenous, the natives or domesticated identities from the colonized hangovers are itself the alter egos, masks put on for survival that inhibits rather than enables. Gupi Bagha never wears the masks, comfortable to exhibit their powers in the public. And Minnal Murali too becomes a story of unmasking, of positioning a known face to be an icon of strength and hope. Now, don't get us wrong. We are not comparing the Satyajit Ray films to Minnal Murali. They had much deep-rooted politics and were way ahead of their times. But then again, when there's this casual remark of Minnal Murali to be the outsider in the village, and we are also made aware that he had beef curry for dinner, we root for Minnal and Basil Joseph all the more and wish for more political intricacies in the next installment. After all, the India we live in today itself is a microcosm of all the Western world problems we spoke about, with regional ethnicities being constantly challenged, with one language getting more importance than the others, and a major proportion of the citizens having no clue of the rich diversity of the beautiful country we live in. So when the man stands on top of the clock tower, refuses to go to America and speaks in Malayalam about how he wants to inspire his people, it feels refreshing in its politics of ethnicity and integrity. And like that old fellow behind Tovino, while he was shooting the balloons at ease in the village fair, we clap and shout, "This man, this man, this man, this man." That is all for today. Hope you liked this video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and leave a comment. Thank you so much.